This is I Take Everything, and in this video I'm just going to be giving you a hardware tour of the 15-inch PowerBook G4, which was released in January 2005. Alright, so going through the specs, it has a 1.67 GHz PowerPC G4 processor. It also has 1.5 GB of DDR SD RAM, and it has an 80 GB hard drive. Now let's talk about the display. Just before we get into the display, I just want to mention that this is not happening in real life, the rolling on the screen. It's just got something to do with how my camera is synced up with the display. So with that being said, let's get into the display. The display has a resolution of 1280 by 854. Now, obviously this isn't high resolution nowadays, but back when this was released, as I said, January 2005, that was a pretty nice resolution. So, as I say, like for the time, I think the display was quite good. Now, one thing you might notice about the display is there is no eyesight camera there. That's right, the PowerBooks did not actually have inbuilt eyesight cameras. The eyesight camera came in with the first MacBook Pro in 2006. So yeah, the display is pretty good for the time, and no complaints really considering it came out 2005. Now let's get into the keyboard. You'll notice this does not look the same as the current MacBook Pro keyboards, and that's because it isn't. Some people actually prefer this keyboard design, while others like myself prefer the new design. That's just a personal preference. But I did type up a few documents on this, and the keys responded really well. I don't really have many complaints on the keyboard, but I do think the new one's better. And as I said, this came out in January 2005, but it is also backlit. You can see now that I've turned off the lights, the keyboard has lit up. And yeah, this came out in January 2005, as I keep saying. And yeah, like how amazing feature was that for the time. Yeah, so cool. So this came out 2005, it's 2012 now, so that's 7 years ago. And most PCs don't even have this backlighted keyboard feature in 2012. So that is amazing to think like how long ago this thing came out, yet it has a backlit keyboard. Now let's go to the trackpad. This was actually used on MacBook Pros up until 2008 when the unibody MacBook Pros were released. As you can see, it is not all one button like the MacBook Pro, for example. See how the MacBook Pro is that big one button where you can click anywhere? This is where you do your tracking. You cannot click. You can tap to click though in system preferences. But here is your button. And you can also program it for right click if you click here. And so obviously if you do that, you could have left click and right click. It supports two-finger scrolling, for example, so that was quite advanced for its time. Another difference with this laptop in comparison to a current day MacBook Pro is how the lid clicks into the base of the laptop. As you can see, there's this little hole here, and when you put it, when you pull the screen down, this little magnet actually comes out from the lid. This little hook. And then you just push it, and it clicks into place. There is no magnets on this laptop. Now to open up the lid, what you do is push this button. That will then release the screen. You can then go ahead and pull the screen right up. As you can see, it wakes up from sleep pretty fast. Now let's talk about ports. The first port is the charging port. As you can see, this is not a MagSafe. It's more of just a standard charging plug. And right there, it's just the little thing where you plug the charger into. As you can see, it's not magnetic. This is not a MagSafe. The MagSafe did not come in until the 2006 first generation MacBook Pros. So, yeah, so this does not have a MagSafe. So this was, yeah, a precursor to that. And as we know, MagSafes are really handy nowadays. If you trip on the laptop, you'll simply unplug. Very useful. These notebooks do not have that. So let's go ahead and plug that back in. There we go. And as you can see, it also has a little light. As you can see, it's red at the moment to indicate that it's still charging. Next port we have up is the phone jack. This gives you an indication of how old the machine is, because obviously laptops don't have that anymore. Then we have our USB 2.0 port. There we have our audio out and audio in. Here we have an expansion card slot. Going around the right hand side of the PowerBook G4, you'll see we have a full-size DVI connector. There's no need to get an adapter to DVI like the current MacBook Pros from Thunderbolt or mini DisplayPort to DVI. This actually has a full-sized DVI. That's very handy feature. Next up we have S-Video for plugging into the older TVs. I don't think S-Video is really used anymore. HDMI is certainly taken the front there. Here we have Ethernet, so you do have phone jack as well as Ethernet. Firewire 800, Firewire 400, another USB 2.0 port, and that Kingston lock for securing your notebook. Going around to the front of the machine itself, we have that slot loading DVD drive, or super drive as Apple calls it. This can be used to burn DVDs, CDs, or play DVD movies, or listen to music CDs, for example, or import them to iTunes. Here we have that button that you push to release the display, as well as the little LED light which indicates that the notebook here is in sleep. Now just briefly touching on speed. It's not as slow as you might think. It can do basic web browsing, and it can even handle YouTube videos, but you can't have many things open while doing that or else it will lag heaps. And HD YouTube videos are kind of a no-go. More 480p will handle. But once again, for a 7-year-old computer, yeah, it's quite amazing how fast this thing still is. Alright, so that just about wraps up my hardware tour of the PowerBook G4 15-inch 1.7 GHz, released way back in January 2005. Go ahead and like this video, as I really appreciate it. Drop a comment down below. Click subscribe right above this video. And drop a comment down below. What's the oldest laptop you have? And stay tuned, I'm going to be doing a Leopard installation, macOS 10.5, on this PowerBook G4. So if you click that subscribe button, you'll be notified when that video is uploaded. And yeah, I'll have that up very, very soon. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the 10.5 Leopard installation on the PowerBook G4 coming up in the very near future. Thanks for watching.